There's big sports media news this week, big sports radio news, or sports media news, not just sports radio. It involves Shannon Sharpe, who is in exile. He left the Fox box that rocks. He made his much ballyhooed debut on his new show. Now, Sharpe is now the sidekick to Stephen A. Smith, our former Fox Sports Radio morning guy back in the day. Stephen A. hosted the morning show here and did not do well, by the way. But he's done pretty good in TV. But Stephen A. and Shannon are united, and he skedaddled Shannon Sharpe away from Skip Bayless, away from Fox, over to the Entertainment and Sports Network, this little fledgling outfit in Bristol, Connecticut. And the opening act took place on Labor Day. Now, why would you begin a TV show on Labor Day? Well, you'd begin because you want a somewhat soft launch. It's like opening a restaurant. You announce the restaurant's going to open on a Friday in the afternoon for lunch or whatever, but you really open the restaurant on a Wednesday. So everyone kind of works through. You have a soft launch. So you start the TV show on a Labor Day because you figure most people aren't getting up early because most people aren't working on Labor Day. So there'll be a less of an audience, and that's the way you do it. But the opening act of Shannon Sharpe, I mentioned a viral moment. If you didn't see this or hear it, perhaps not, Shannon Sharpe, on more than one occasion, including in the very first segment, the opening act of his First Take run, called Stephen A. Skip. He called Stephen A. Smith Skip, the guy who he bailed on from the rival show, and then he skedaddled off, and it was quite the moment. Quite the moment. So let's jump right into it. Let's discuss the question. What did you make of Shannon Sharpe calling Stephen A. the wrong name, calling him Skip multiple times on his debut over at First Take? So I have Highway Hypnosis, William Shatner, and Bathroom Wall. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to scamper away on holiday is what we're going to do. Now, first of all, I'm not going to sit here and say that I watched either one of these shows. To me, these are overnight shows. I worked yesterday. We did a live show on Labor Day, and so I was here working, and that meant I was sleeping when these shows were on the air. So I slept while both these shows were on. But several of the P1s, when I woke up, my inbox, if I miss anything, people are like, hey, did you see this? You got to mention this. You got to talk about this. They're all prim and proper. People love snitching on other people. I've noticed that, right? Hey, man, you got to talk about this. Did you see what Shannon Sharpe did? Yeah. So this is the First Take. They sent me the link. It was hilarious. And here's the feeling I had. Well, I thought it was cringeworthy and hilarious. I actually, on some level, felt empathy for Shannon Sharpe. Believe it or not. Yeah, I felt bad for Shannon Sharpe. And I'll tell you how I actually relate to this situation. I have lived what Shannon Sharpe is going through. All right, so working here at Fox Sports Radio for most of my adult life, I have been here. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around that, but the years have added up, and with the exception of 6 months and 26 days, I have been here. Now, I had some local radio jobs before I worked here, but most of it has been at Fox Sports Radio as a grown-up. I've pretty much grown up here. I started at Fox Sports Radio. I had both my parents. I was single, couldn't get any kind of a date or anything like that. And now my parents are gone. I'm married. I've been married for 10 years. It's crazy. It's absolutely wild. But in my time here at Fox Sports Radio, I've had a few side hustles. I have been asked by local affiliates to fill in. And some of you guys know I had a long stint, a couple of years filling in occasionally in Boston on EEI. I also did cameo appearances in Seattle and Denver, among other cities. Also did some work in Portland, Oregon a while back. So in each location, from time to time, I would be on the local show and I would slip up. I would fall and the banana peel, I'd step on it, I'd slide away, the trap door would open up, and I would say FSR, or I'd give out the Fox number or some kind of FSR lingo on the local affiliate. Because it is muscle memory. Your subconscious mind takes over. It's kind of like a phenomenon. I'm not sure if you've experienced this, but I have. I don't know how you can experience when you drive long distances. We got a lot of people that are long-haul truck drivers. It's called highway hypnosis, and it is a real phenomenon that causes you to fall into this trance-like state while driving. You ever had that happen to you, where you lose track of time and you're just driving some monotonous road somewhere in the middle of nowhere in Timbuktu, and you're looking at the sign on the side of the road. It says, 80 miles to your next destination, and then the next time you look at the sign, you're 30 miles away, and you're like, what the hell happened the last 50 miles? It makes no sense. And so Shannon Sharpe, what he did here on live TV, he had highway hypnosis. He was so nervous and all that, he had autopilot mode activated. He's like, all right, I'm on TV, I'm doing a debate show, I'm going to say the name of Skip is what I'm going to do. Now, secondly, all right, while Shannon Sharpe was stumbling, fumbling, and bumbling, a bumpy ride there on the Entertainment and Sports Network, what happened over on FS1? Well, Skip Bayless, he was the one that was flexing. How was Skip Bayless able to get the best of Shannon Sharpe? Now, it has nothing to do with Shannon Sharpe stumbling and having some mistakes. No. Deion Sanders was a guest on Undisputed. He was the big celebrity guest on Undisputed. Right after, that was the story of the weekend, Colorado upsetting TCU on Saturday. Now, ordinarily, there would be nothing here to get all worked up about and all that stuff because, it's all about, Shannon Sharpe's first debut with Stephen A. Smith. But while Shannon Sharpe was debating Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, with Stephen A. and mentioning Skip's name, Deion was hanging out with Skip Bayless. They were actually talking to Skip, or Deion was, and Michael Irvin. As William Shatner told me years ago, checkmate. And even though Sanders and Shannon Sharpe, we are told, are buddy-buddy, clearly they're not on the same level as Deion and the playmaker Michael Irvin, who were together in some of the glory years there with the Dallas Cowboys. And so that is a major feather in the cap to Skip Bayless. Although, to be fair, unpopular opinion here, if you're doing a debate show, you're often better off not talking to the person you're going to debate about. It just makes for some awkward, uncomfortable moments there. And Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, that competition. It reminds me of years ago in late-night television, back when people used to watch late-night TVs before the late-night comedians became political hacks, and you had Jay Leno and David Letterman that would duke it out, right? That was the big battle. You had Leno on NBC and Letterman at CBS, and they would battle it out. And they made books about that. They made movies about that. It was wonderful. So right now, we don't have that because nobody's watching late-night television, but you do have Skip Bayless and Stephen A. on these sports debate shows. All right, quickly, final thought. Let's go to college football. And the Duke Blue Devils upset City, a basketball school knocking off a football school as Clemson goes down. A stunner from Labor Day night. The quarterback for Duke, Riley Leonard, did not have a statistically dominant game. He did have a big touchdown run, but this guy went viral not because of the unranked Blue Devils upsetting number 9 Clemson. It had nothing to do with that, but during the broadcast, it was revealed that this guy, Riley Leonard, has his mamu, send him text before games telling him, quote, "You suck." Every game, his mom sends him. You talk about a great mom, right? Now, the reason he does that, why does he do that? Do you know why? Did you see this? No? All right, the reason supposedly this happens is in order to help him keep his ego in check. Who knew the quarterback at Duke had a big ego? I had no idea. I understand the basketball players at Duke having a big ego back when Coach K was there. He's not around anymore. But the football players? So how do you digest that? So Riley Leonard, my advice to him, right, leave your mom out of this. Your mom does not need to tell you you suck. You should spend more time on X because that platform, formerly known as Twitter, is the bathroom wall of the social media world. It's the bathroom wall. Everyone scribbles nasty things on the bathroom wall there, and a lot of X-rated material. X marks the spot. Equal parts. If you want to be mocked, they'll mock you. If you want to be teased, they'll tease. They'll tease your ass. You want to be taunted? They can taunt you. You want to be ridiculed? They'll ridicule you. By the way, speaking of that, how are things working out right now for Dabo Swinney at Clemson? Whee! Wow. Wowzers. It's been a fortune of really rich people in South Carolina's money. The big boosters there. And Dabo has to go on a wellness mission to calm the nerves of the boosters who are already annoyed that Clemson has been knocked down a couple of rungs here because there are going to be just two conferences that matter in college football, and one of them ain't the ACC. You're going to have the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference. That's it. And so Clemson is already an outsider when the landscape changes. You've got the number one recruiting class from a few years ago that Clemson has many of these players that have not blossomed in the last couple of years. Now, Dabo Swinney, those glory years when they were playing for national championships, since they last appeared in the national title game, Clemson, it did not go well for them in that game. Dabo, overall, this is his 9th loss since then. So 31-9, 1-2 in bowl games, but losing to Duke is like a 10-loss situation. When you lose to Duke, if you're Clemson, you just can't have that happen. And the way they lost, where they gave the game away. They kept stumbling and bumbling and turning the football over. The fact that Clemson put up huge yardage totals and they did not have to punt in the second half of the game. They didn't punt one time. And they also didn't score in the second half. You know how hard that is to do? That you have to be so incompetent. Your skill players, all of them have the dropsies and the fumbleitis. Wild and crazy. But that's what happened. So Dabo's going to have to make some phone calls and calm the nerves of those big boosters and the powerful alumni that are the ones that are paying him the gobs of money and all that. And we'll keep an eye on that particular story.